Ring?
I do indeed, and the stream should be starting right about now. So go ahead.
Okay. Vamos okay. This is just to give you a context first, and later I will ask you the specific questions. Okay.
Yep.
I was working on a feature in the Terraform provider, and when we started developing the unit tests, we realized that project access token and group access token were not taking into consideration the setting. I mean, we have a setting which is a required expiry date or something like that, which
hmm
according to the documentation allows you to create a token without expiry date. Okay, we are on the
Okay.
same page, no? Okay,
Okay.
so
Okay. It makes
we,
sense. Yeah.
we okay, we realized that I mean, what I did in that test in Golang in the provider, I set that setting to false, okay, to not require expiry date,
Okay.
and
hmm
I created the token, and even like that, I received the error that expiry date was missing.
Okay.
Okay, so Timo Furrer, Timo
Yep.
Furrer
Yep.
asked
Yep.
me.
Yep. Yep.
He told me if I could work on this, and I said yes. Okay, now when I set up GDK in a box, all those kind of things. Now, here I realized. Let me go a moment to changes for you to have a better context. Lib API. Here it is. Okay. As you can see here at the API level, the expires at field was required. Okay.
Yep.
Actually, it was, um, I would say, weird because it was required, but besides, it had here a default value, So,
Oh, okay. Yeah. 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 How can it have a default value if it's required? That doesn't make
okay,
sense, right?
okay, but okay, we solve all these. Um, um, Basically, I got to the point. I test this in my local environment. As you can see here, I make the comment. I basically I mean, let's read a moment. I here disabled the setting,
hmm
using the UI. I disabled that setting, created a personal access token with no expiry date. Okay. So how, because of the setting was disabled, it just returned a token that never expires. If you take a look at the photo, the second token, the one whose name is testing no expiry date, in the
hmm
expires column, it has never. Okay.
Okay.
Now I enabled the required expiration date setting again, and
hmm
I created the token. And what it does, because it is the same behavior it had for personal access token, is that it returns a token that expires in 365 days from now.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, as you can see in the first token. Okay, perfect. Now, where is the issue? The issue is that we were talking and we were a bit worried because sorry, we were a bit worried because this would introduce a breaking change at the API level. Okay, because previously, always when you try to create the token, it returned an error. Okay, so they asked me to introduce a feature flag for this.
Okay.
Okay, so
hmm
basically, I read the documentation about feature flags, and according to the documentation, I created this feature flag that you can see here. After I finish the command, it generate this YAML file.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, there are this is like the full context. Now, there are some questions I have. First, I am not really sure that what I did about the feature flag, I mean in the code, when I ask if the feature flag is on or off, I'm not sure about if that is okay or not. But my first and most important question is, I added some logs, for example, in the controller, when it is creating the service, I tried to add some logs to see what was happening, but I can't see the logs. I am using
Okay.
GDK in a box. So this is the first question I would like to understand. How can I do to see the logs? If
Okay.
you want,
Okay.
let me just a moment share SSH GDK local. Wait. Okay. Let's go a moment here. Services, resource access tokens, create service. For example, just to be quick a moment. As you can say here, I return an error if this function, so here is where I ask for the feature. For example, if the feature flag is not enabled, the same behavior as we had previously, and the expire sat field is not present, then I return false. Okay, because
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
I need to return the error from the API level. Now, the same if the feature flag is enabled and the settings require personal access token is true, then also, if the expired sat field is not present, I will also need to return the error. So basically, is if the feature flag is not enabled, the expired sat field must be always present. But if the feature flag is enabled, I need to check for the setting, and if the setting is true, meaning that you require an expiry date, then the expired sat field must be present. Sorry if I talk too much. I am
No,
just
no, that
trying to.
all would make sense. That's logical. Yeah, sounds good.
So now the first thing I would like to validate is, because I just executed the command I saw in the documentation to create the feature flag, and I was taking a look at the other examples where feature flags were used. So basically, my first step would be first to understand how to check the logs. That would be the first thing, and the second, well, I can do that using the logs, but the second would be, sorry, the second would be to verify if the feature flag is enabled or not.
Okay. Um, so for the logs, you've got a few different ways. Because so much gets written to the log, it is quite hard to find stuff. I don't know like if everyone does something similar, but I do tend to like prepend logs with a bunch of stars or something that makes it easy for me to tail the log file or grep in the log file or whatever to find those logs. Um, the other thing is depending on like if what you're trying to do is kind of follow the code and see what path it's taking and what's happening and that kind of thing, then sometimes like using a debugger is a slightly better or easier way. Um, Now, using a debugger when you're actually running the code from the front end, from the UI, or making an API call from Postman or whatever, is sometimes a little bit tricky. It is possible, but it can be a little bit tricky. So what I would tend to do is run a test. And the way that tests are run makes it very easy to put a breakpoint essentially somewhere in the code and then have it sort of shell out when you're running the tests, and then you can examine the variables and you can sort of see what's happening with the code. So I guess that was a long way of me asking, like, for the logs, what is it you're looking to um, y- what is it you're looking to achieve? Why are you writing to the log, and what do you want to check for? If
Yeah, I mean, I perfectly understand your point. I actually, honestly, a debugger would be much better, definitely. The issue is that I always use NeoVim to code. I can set
Mhm.
up debuggers on NeoVim, but honestly, I haven't done that. So if it would be much better for me if I can like see a log or something like that. Actually, I can do even something, let's say, simpler, because I could just return an error. I mean, just for me to be sure, I can just return an error depending on the feature flag value, a different text, and in that way I can be sure if the feature flag is enabled or not.
Yeah, I
um
mean, to be honest, what you can do is that when you use like when I debug with Ruby, I don't actually really use the IDE anyway. Um, so you just put like a binding.pry command in your code somewhere, and then when you run your test from a terminal, bundle exec rspec, and you run your test, that will shell out. So even if you're using NeoVim, you should still be able to, you won't be kind of debugging within the IDE, within the UI, but you can do it just from the console, from the terminal.
okay, but how could I do it?
So if you
I mean, I suppose this I wrote here, GitLab app logger info. I suppose I can delete that.
yeah, so let's remove that and just if you put binding.pry in here instead.
Binding.
Yep. I can pop it in the chat. Binding.pry.
Binding dot pry. Like this.
Yep, that should do the trick. There are a few different,
So I can just log here anything.
no, so you don't need to, so remove those brackets and save that file.
Okay. Remove the brackets
Yeah,
and
and then
save.
save that, yeah. And then if you open a terminal,
Okay, here is the terminal.
and what we need is to run a test which is going to hit that piece of code. Do you know? Do you know which test
Um,
you can run? If not, I can find you one quite easily.
I understand. Yeah, I know. For example, wait, we have it. Spec, uh, resource access tokens. Spec leaf API. Wait a moment, because I have it here.
Well, that last one's probably quite a good
Okay.
one.
Spec requests API. Spec requests API. Resource access tokens. No, it is here. This one. This is a
Cool.
test that hits that.
Okay, so if you run um, bundle exec rspec and then
Yeah, I
the
suppose.
path, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me
Yeah, it's pretty much what I was putting in, and then if you copy the path to the
spec. Spec request API. Um, resource access tokens. Spec RB.
perfect.
Okay.
Now, hopefully, when you run that, it'll basically you'll you'll be sort of the debugger will break out into the shell when it hits that line where you put the binding dot price. So we'll find that out in a minute, I guess.
Okay. Good, good. How I was thinking in my language, but it's like a good tip. Good tip. Thank you.
No worries, as long as it works. Sometimes I think there's like bug that we sometimes use as well, but let's see if this one does the
Yeah.
trick.
But I know that I did something wrong with the feature flag because before the feature flag, I updated the tests and all of them passed. Okay. But after I added the feature flag, there are a lot of tests failing. So I know there is something there pretty weird.
Okay. Okay.
By the way, I have like a Ruby. In some way, it is similar to Node, which I have worked a lot also with Node. So it looks good.
Yeah, I've come to love it.
I
Right, this is what.
suppose is that no?
Yeah, so this is now kind of you might need to expand your terminal a little bit and hit enter a few times maybe.
Ah, so I hit enter.
Yeah, hit enter a couple of times. I'm not quite sure what it's. You should have more of a prompt than you've got at the moment, rather than it just saying end.
Well,
That
I have pressed enter a lot of times right now.
interesting. Strange. So what you should be able to do now, technically, is you could type params, for example, and it would spit out the content of, you can basically inspect what's going on, what's in the code, what's in the variables, etc. Not quite sure. Try pressing Q maybe.
Q
Uh, yeah. Right, there you go. So now if you type params, for example,
params
yeah,
like
and hit
this.
enter. Yep, yep, and hit enter. You can see. that's what's contained in the params variable.
Ah,
Um,
okay, okay, I
and
understand.
if you try and find your bit of code, like so, there's something you've got that's something like feature dot enabled question mark and then the name of the feature. You can copy and paste that into this terminal as well to see whether that feature flag is enabled. So
Ah,
you've got all
so
the
this is
commands.
um like a REPL like in real time I can write Ruby code there and it will
Exactly.
evaluate in the function context.
Yeah, it's a real-time debugger, exactly. So um, it takes some getting used to, but hopefully you'll find it pretty valuable once you've sort of played with it a little bit.
Okay, great. Um, okay. So and for example, if I right now validate expires at field
Hmm.
and I pass it params, it should return me the value of that, no?
Exactly. Yep.
Of course, it returns true because expires at is present in the params. So that's why and what can I type for it to go to the next line and the next line? Do you?
So if you try next, and that will step you through. It gets a bit more complex if you want to like step into a method or step over a method. I'm not an expert using the debugger by any stretch, so you may have to Google a little bit to find some
Yeah,
tips.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I understand. I understand.
But the
Okay,
best thing to
okay.
do
No,
is now you
this
awesome.
is a great tip because now I am not blind, you know. Now I yeah, no, no, because basically that was what happened to me. Now, another okay, I will close this. How can I suppose I can type exit or something like that?
Yeah, I think quit might be what I normally use. You can try. So what will happen, what's happening here is I think you exited, but the
Yeah,
next
but
test.
another test. Yeah, yeah, I
Exactly.
understand. I
Yeah, good, good,
understand.
good, good, good.
Now, just a quick, let me just quickly verify this because now expire sat is new. So validate expire sat field params. Expire sat. Okay, it returns false. So this should be okay. I will just type Control Z. Okay, it's good
Cool,
enough.
cool.
Um, okay, now just now I wanted to ask you something related to the API to the API layer. Let's go quickly here. I don't want to spend the whole meet for me because it's just quickly lib API resource access tokens. No. By the way, why are we? I mean, for me, maybe this is something normal on Ruby, you know, but for me, it's like a bit weird. In the scaffolding, I have seen we have a lot something like this, a folder, for example, resource access tokens, and it has this inside self-rotation. However, we also have a file called resource access token. Is this done for something specific or because I think it would be better to have it all inside the folder, you know?
I say this with about 70% confidence, so I'm not 100%, but my expectation is that this is I call it like an evolutionary thing, right? So when you start with
Ah,
something
okay.
quite simple, we just had the resource access token spec with all of the
Yeah.
tests in one file. And then we started to create more and more and more, and we
Yeah,
decided
I
we should have a
understand.
folder. So yeah, so it would be like a nice housekeeping exercise at some point to maybe refactor, but we also try if this is no, this is the actual code, not the test, isn't it? But with tests, we will mimic the file structure normally of the actual code itself. So if, 80% of the resource access token API code was in one class file, but then the rotation was in a separate class, then that would
Yeah.
also be another reason why the specs would be separated out.
Yeah, I understand. Now, this is what I wanted to ask you about because I was talking to Timo and he suggested something that honestly would be very good, but I'm not sure if we are able to do this in Ruby.
Hmm.
Previously we had this
We did, yeah.
required, actually required. Now, can I, what we are looking is for a way to like dynamically change this schema based on the feature flag, because that would be much cleaner
Hmm.
in
Hmm.
some way. So basically, I just wanted to know if you know about some part in the code base, in the source, where something like this is done, and I can just check it out and take a look. Basically, it would be like depending on a Boolean value, on a Boolean variable, I need to be able to specify this as required or as optional.
Yeah, good question. It's not something that I've come across. Let me let me this feels like something that I might try and ask GitLab Duo about. So give me a quick second. So um, just see if I've got the GitLab project open anywhere. I don't think I have. Oh, yeah. Okay. So, what we want to ask is something along the lines of, do we have any examples of APIs that have params which are required or optional depending on some logic, maybe a feature flag? Let's see if Duo is able to answer the question.
Is there a way to get it to enable for the whole code base? Because sometimes I get it where it's trained on the whole code base, sometimes it's not.
Um, do you know what? I don't really know how, like, because we're not using a custom model or LLM, if that makes sense. It's just going out to, like, I've got it set. Oh, I've actually got it set to haiku for some reason. I really should change that. Um, but yeah, it's just using off the shelf LLM, and then it's the context that it sends will probably be like if you're on a merge request, it'll send that merge request, um, and the project information, but then it uses the tools. So you can, or I can see, I'm not sharing my screen right now, but that it's sort of saying searching for files with the term feature flag, required params, conditional, you can see what it's doing. It's like grepping, etc. Um, but the response it came up with is, oh, GraphQL REST API. For REST APIs, I didn't find a direct example of conditional requires optional based on feature flags. However, the pattern would be to handle this in the endpoint logic rather than in the params. Yeah, which is what you're already doing, right? So always declare it as optional.
I don't think it, at least in the on the because all of your APIs go to the Swagger, right? And so I don't think there's a way to
Yeah, that's a good point.
because it gets
Thinking, yeah.
compiled already
Think-
in the Swagger that gets deployed
Well,
out.
yes and no. So I agree if the logic was based on something that maybe like to do with the user, something that could be different depending on every time you call it. But if it was based on like a feature flag or an application setting or something kind of static almost, but yeah, I think you probably are onto something there. Um, I will ask our API team just in case there's an example that I haven't thought about. But yeah, I didn't get any examples
Okay.
from Duo, so I think unfortunately you will have to do the optional and then have the conditional logic in um, further down the line, essentially.
In case they answer you or whatever, you will mention me in the issue or something like that, or how do I?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. I'll let you know if anyone comes back with anything.
Actually, if you want, I give you the PR link and you can ask there. I
Yeah,
mean,
I
if
mean,
you are
I'll
comfortable.
probably find it quite easily from your user profile, but feel free to maybe just drop a note in the contribute ta channel on Discord. It's always nice if anyone watches these recordings or can follow up later on to see what we were looking at.
So you are telling me that what you asked me was that I asked this question in the contribute channel.
You don't need to ask the question, but just drop a link to the merge request,
Drop
just
the link.
saying, here's
Okay,
a link to
okay.
the merge request we were discussing during
Yeah, I
office hours or
understand.
something like that. Awesome, thank you.
I understand. I will mention you.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, I think that's all for me. What you told me about the binding that pry was a very good tip. So thank you. Um, a last thing, is there any command for me to toggle a feature flag?
So if you want to do it in your GDK, let me share a nice link with you.
I think I can stop sharing now. Stop share. Okay.
Amazingly, my GDK isn't even running at the moment. So um,
Do you also use GDK in a box?
I'm not at the moment, but I might switch soon. We're trying to get GDK in a box working on workspaces at the moment. So
How are you
um,
liking your new Mac?
yeah, awesome. It's it's funny because you can imagine a lot of the day to day there's very little change, but occasionally I'll do something like run a test suite. Um,
The
and
fans spin up.
well, not so much. I mean, occasionally, yes, but more so just the kind of oh wow, it ran that entire aspect suite of 199 tests in like zero point 0.1 seconds. You know? Uh, okay, so it looks like I've got a bust GDK at the moment, which is not helpful.
Um,
Uh,
um, I know about GDK.local, but what does GDK.test do?
It's just depending on if yours is called gdk.local, which it will be because it's GDK in a box, you do that. It's just because my local host name is actually gdk.test. But
Okay, yeah, I
this
understand.
wasn't broken at the moment. I don't know what I've done to break it, but this will
I
bring
I
up
will
a
tell you what you told me like a week ago. GDK update.
yeah. No doubt that probably would fix it, to be fair. But I've just sent you a link. In fact, I'll do it in that Discord chat as well. Um,
Yeah, I saw Rails features.
and that should give you a UI where you can toggle feature flags.
Ah,
You can do it from the Rails console, but it's easier from the UI, right?
no, of course, of course.
Cool. Um,
You want to fun regex real quick?
Yeah, I'm just going to paste into the Discord. So a team member did come back about the conditional or dependent parameters, um, but they basically said would probably recommend against it, and it would be difficult to translate to open API specs, which is the Swagger thing I think that Jim you mentioned. So have a
Yep.
look at the link that I shared, but I suspect it may be best to avoid. But yeah, go from there. Yeah, Jim, far away.
All right, so this is a minor formatting issue, but if you take a look in the thanks channel,
The I forget what you call it, the brace, but like greater
yes,
than symbol. Yeah,
yes.
yeah, I saw that. I sort of know what slash where it's coming from, but I don't quite know why it's
I don't understand
doing.
why it's doing it. It should not
I
be putting it in my opinion. I think it's
well,
something with the regex.
yeah, I would either expect there to be no braces or both of the brackets, if that makes sense.
Correct, yes.
Seeing just one of them, I find slightly odd. But yeah, let's have a real quick look at the code and see if we can maybe even write a test for it and understand why it's doing what it's doing. Um,
I had a stab at it with Duo and I got so lost in there.
so share. What do I want? Request review. I hope I'm sharing the right one. Yeah, that looks good. Right, so let's close everything. Let's check out main. Let's pull. Mission denied. Say what? Um, okay, good. So let's have a look at it's really the worst possible. There's a lot more of those than I expected. Let's
Oh
try
shoot, I
that
gotta
one.
see if I have a meeting now.
Oh, no worries. I'll keep I'll have a quick poke with this. It'll be on the recording, and I'll drop a note in Discord to let you know if I figured it out.
Let me see if I actually have one or not. I do not.
Okay. Uh,
He never made one, so not my problem. All right, sorry.
no worries. Um, did you get so what would it be? It's when you is it the bonus points create service that does it? Ah, no, Discord notification job. I guess that's where it's happening. Yes, and this is where we. Oh no, that's the user mention. And this is the wrap URLs. Right, cool. So,
So it looks fine going into the wrap URL. from just tracing it. And I
So the
think
big change that we had recently, not that recently, but a little while ago. So where are we? It says it private. Oh no, I don't think it is a private method actually. Wrap your. So what we're basically doing now is actually doing more like this. So what we need to do now is, so what would
do you
I?
want to have two H's there?
No, I do not. Not particularly anyway. So then the question is, what would I want or expect? And I don't really know what I want or expect, if I'm totally honest, because all of a sudden now this is markdown. Yeah, I don't honestly don't know, but let's try that.
It's fun. Like you go three formatting levels deep into this.
Is it like X equals Y equals Z sort of?
And you're trying to figure out what that is. Yeah.
Can you
So
explain me what are we trying to do?
yeah,
Sure.
absolutely. Let me. Discord's a good place. So I'm going to now in the thread that you started, I'm going to share a couple of things. So um, the thing that I already shared actually, where I copied and pasted the GitHub URL, you can see that it's I think they call it unfurl, where it basically Discord goes off to the URL and it gets back like a summary, a subject, a title, and then maybe an icon or a snapshot or something, and it renders this kind of preview essentially. Now you can disable that by basically pasting a URL. So if I do, well, let me paste the same URL again. But basically surrounding it with I don't know what you call those brackets, basically that blah that. So where blah is the link in the middle. So the first one I just pasted the link and it unfurled it and did that preview. The second one I put the square, not square brackets, the diagonal angle brackets around it and it didn't unfurl it and post the URL. But now if we start using Markdown, so I'm going to say link text and paste the link in. So that has unfurled, but has correctly used the link text. Now if I try and do the same again, but I'm going to put the angled brackets inside of and that has not unfurled and the link still works. So that's definitely the desired result that we want out. I think that it's basically it's looking for white space as the end of the URL. So I think what it's doing is it's putting that bracket there instead. I think it's as simple as that. So yeah, like you say, if we're using regex to do it, then simple tweak to the regex. And let's have a look. So expected, blah, blah, blah. To include that and that. Yes, so that's exactly it. Although interestingly, it's also
Where did that exclamation point come from?
where I can't see an exclamation point. Where are you?
On the
This
example.
one?
And yeah.
Good question. We add, so this is, what is it? We add that somewhere there. And this is what you're talking about, the confusing nesting, right? Where we've got formatting happening here, and then we've got more
Oh,
formatting.
I thought you're hold on, go back to your test real quick.
Yeah.
Okay, so you actually are building the message. Okay, I thought you were just testing wrap. My bad.
No, not in this instance. So yeah, what we're doing at the moment for the rat is, yeah, we're basically saying HTTP either with or without S, colon, forward slash, and then anything until you find a space. Now, what I don't know is if I was to just say not bracket as well, is that good or is that bad? Like, is a bracket acceptable in a URL?
In GitLab URLs, they should never have a bracket.
But if we're to say this URL could also be a link to a meetup or something else, I think a bracket probably gets URL encoded. Let's just have a quick look.
It should. I don't think
Okay.
it really matters, though. Most of the time, you won't have it.
Yeah, it should get URL encoded, I think. So I think it's fairly safe to do what I'm trying to do there. So, okay, good news, I think, is that it's moved the angled bracket to the correct place, but it's still trimming the last character off. Did I just screw that up? Yes, I think I did. I just removed the T from there. So let me diff quickly. So we've basically said stop if you come to a closing paren or a white space. Um, yeah, and we changed this. So we basically put the square brackets around that, those brackets around that, and then this one square brackets and those brackets. Yeah. And now I think that test will pass. Beautiful. So it's a bit flaky. I could try and make it more like specifically to look for the opening bracket before the HTTPS if we're going to put an M1, but I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
I'm fine with that too. So
So let's
if Lee's happy, I'm happy.
and I think you created an issue for that. I definitely saw you raised it somewhere. Do you remember if you created an issue or?
I created an issue in the
Yeah,
contributor platform.
beautiful, beautiful. Let me find your issue and I will make sure I reference you. So 255, I think it is. So where do I git checkout HB? Oh, I can't type. 255 fix. No, dangly. Angle. Is that an angel or an angle? Which one's which?
Is what?
Is angle LE or EL?
Uh,
I think it's like that.
Angle.
That's that's an angle, and GEL is angel, is it? Okay, perfect. Good, I got it right.
I anytime you're asking me for spelling, I always have to look it up because there's American or the America and Britain do it two different ways.
Yeah, but you always probably considered correct. Um,
Oh,
so
there's several places in the platform that I have considered uh, making a MR just to fix, but then I'm like, it's a Americanism versus a Britishism. I'm like,
well,
that's
it's quite funny because if I remember rightly, we use crowding to do our like translations for the platform.
Well, not on the contributor platform.
True,
So
that's
that's
true. That's true. But I believe that we have like I think we're supposed to use US English as like the base, the default, whatever you want to call it. But
yes.
then I think that there's then like UK or British English or whatever you want to call it, and maybe even like Australian English and maybe others in the crowding platform. So you might actually be able to switch the language. Um,
They don't do Australian, they do Great Britain though.
okay. Um,
At least from what I remember seeing. So and they're always looking for more contributors if anyone knows another language and wants to help contribute.
nice. Um, that will do. Yeah, it kind of makes me think, should I have like taken a leaf out of the GitLab book when starting a contributor platform and like internationalized, externalized, whatever the term is, all of the streams? I don't think we've got big enough community user base, whatever you want to call it, to translate into sufficient languages, right? Okay, so that looks good to me. Um, interest you. I was going to do a review, then I'm going to say,
I'll just say this, I know no one wants me translating anything, so
so I don't know if you saw or Missy, but she just joined our team last week. Was a contributor, a prolific contributor back in the day, and then joined GitLab a couple of years ago. But has been working on one of the AI teams, and then she's just come across to our team. So
is she
hope
permanent or temporary?
permanent.
Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. We're very happy to have another member of the team and specifically Missy. So Missy, yeah.
She's been going crazy with reviewing everything.
Oh, you've seen like handbook changes and stuff like that, you mean
Yes.
specifically? Or yeah. Yes, because like she's going through the onboarding process at the moment, which involves like referring to a lot of the handbook and other bits and pieces. And as you can imagine, it's like, hang on a minute, do you do this? I've not seen this sort of thing. And it's like, oh no, that's out of date, as you can imagine. So yes, doing us a huge favor in updating a lot of stuff that's no longer relevant or accurate. But yeah, hopefully that does the job.
Here, let
And
me
then
find a issue. Or you haven't run a deployment yet, have you?
no, so I've linked, so it's issue 255, I think that if that's what you were referring to, or did you want to test it?
I was going to test it, but if you haven't done it yet, that's
No,
fine.
so Missy will do a quick code review at some point. She's I'm going to say US at the moment, so be online later today, and hopefully in the next day or so get to review it, and we'll get it merged and deployed, and we'll let you know.
Is she US based?
Um, I really should know because I had a one-to-one with her yesterday, but she travels around, moves around, so like she won't always be, but definitely yesterday I spoke to her at 3 o'clock my time, and it was now I'm confused because I had a couple of calls midday. So she's definitely X number of hours behind, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So it'll be later if she does get a chance to look at it. Oh, there you go, 4 hours behind by the looks of it. So, but where at the moment, I wouldn't like to hedge my bets. But yeah, all being well in the next couple of days anyway, that'll be sort of sorted. Thanks for raising it as ever. And thanks both for joining. Hope to catch you later during the week.
Thanks.